Obviously, a lot of swings and elements to this one tonight. What did you see ultimately as the reason your team came up short?
I mean, there's a lot of things that you can point at. Again, like we said last night when we left the game, we're going to see a team that does exactly what that other team did, what Atlanta did. We talk about the free throw, the margin of error. You miss 10 free throws in a game that's close in margin. Yeah, you give up 15 offensive rebounds in a game that's close in margin. Those are extra possessions you can't get back. And I think you have to look at that as something that we've got to focus on and hone in on and understand about the level of concentration we have to have throughout the entire game.
What went into the decision to not call timeout after those two missed free throws? It looked like there was some communication that maybe you would have called timeout. Was there miscommunication in that moment?
That's on me. That is completely on me. We put Goga in the game to go rebound timeout, and if you notice, there was guys signaling timeout, and we didn't get the call. And so at that point, we had put the ball on the ground. So in that moment, you can try to advance it and get it over. And then in that moment, you just say, okay, if you can get a shot with that momentum going down when they're off balance, you get the quick look. That's on me. I should have called the timeout once we advance it over half court. That's the communication part I'll have to be better at. We'll have to be better at.
You mentioned before the Atlanta game that you guys wanted to work on your late game execution. That was something that you wanted to see. What maybe was beyond just maybe making shots, but what was kind of the difference in this game compared to last night and being able to execute, get quality shots and step into them confidently?
Well, I honestly think we got a lot of good looks. I mean, we did got a lot of good looks down the stretch. They didn't go in, where they went in last night, and, it looks a little bit different, obviously, because you come away with the win. But, again, we did get some good looks, and we'll continue to work on our end-of-game execution to make sure that we're getting the right looks at the right time and they're clean, and we're continue to step in with confidence and knocking them down.
I think Dan said in his question, he mentioned some of the swings that were in this game. Obviously, that third quarter went back and forth with the two runs, you guys first, then Memphis. What goes into your decision-making and your management of this situation when you're trying to gauge whether or not to let your team figure things out versus let a run go on without a timeout?
Well, I think we had it going for a while. There was a good rhythm to start. And, you didn't want to take away from that. But then they go on their momentum swing, and you're still up about 14 or 15. And then as it chips away, you're trying to recognize what you can do and look at the timeouts, because if you call the timeout, then you may not have it on the back end. So I think being able to settle us down, to be able to execute the right things in those moments is going to continue to be very key. And then it comes down to being able to, on the floor as well, we've got to continue to get organized the same way.
Coach, the crowd after that second missed free throw, just free Chick-fil-A for the crowd, it created this ruckus in the arena. Do you think that contributed maybe to the chaos and not being able to get that call for the timeout?
No, again, I'm going to go back to I've got to do a better job of communicating with the group to get the timeout. And if you go back and look at the film, you have Wendell calling timeout, Goga calling timeout. We're all, the referees didn't see it. And that's on me and being able to go to the referee and say, we put it big in the game, to say we're going to go rebound timeout, and they've got to signal and look at it. And that's part of all of the communication across the board, but that starts with me.
Coming back into the game there in the second quarter and then taking the lead in the third quarter, you guys found that kind of defensive grit to control the tempo and pace like we talked about before the game. When another team's able to put that run on you, how do you make sure guys kind of keep that defensive identity, and do you feel like the team is starting to kind of get back to the kind of grit and determination they had earlier in the season?
I do. You don't like coming away with this loss right now, but it's, again, things that we can control. You can control stepping up to the line, knocking your free throws down. You can control boxing guys out and going after the rebound. You hold a team that's, one of the leading scorers in the league, to 105 points. You're doing something right there. But again, in this moment, it's not enough. And I think those are the points that we have to keep hitting on, that it's the little things that matter in a game of small margins. Thank you all.
There were a lot of swings to this game and elements to this one, but what did you feel, in your perspective, was the reason your team ultimately came up short tonight?
I mean, it's several factors. I think we missed a lot of free throws. I think definitely some factors we couldn't control, but I think the free throws was a big one, and then we let them get too comfortable in that third quarter. That third quarter where I think we got up 20. I think we went on a 23-2 run, and then we immediately let them come and match that. I think we had did a great job the whole game defending the three, and I think they hit 4 or 5 threes just that quarter. So I mean, that's the game right there. If we get up that much, we should be able to maintain that lead. So I think that's on us. We gave them that game.
How do you overcome, it's just one game, but how do you overcome the fact that you, in your words, gave them that game?
I mean, it is what it is. We can't go back and change nothing now, but we got to take this opportunity and we got to improve on this. So, you know, it's what 24 games left this season for us in the regular season. We gotta tighten up. We can't be giving away games like that when we're primed and prepped to win, and then we just start laying the egg and just having these mental lapses, whatever it is. And so we're better than what we showed in this the remainder of that game. But I'm hopeful we'll be all right.
I know a lot of the times when some things go wrong late game, you guys will point to earlier situations in the game, and some of what you're talking about is kind of alluding to that too. But what did you see in your view out there on the floor on that last possession? What kind of happened there?
I mean, if I'm being completely candid, we weren't all on the same page. That was the issue. I mean, I think the right play probably. I mean, I think we wanted the time. I think P wanted to call a timeout, but everyone wasn't on the same page, and so I think we got to do a better job as a unit, echoing that call, making sure everyone knows what we want to do, whether it's calling a timeout, whether it's obviously letting P go, because we know he's obviously capable of making that shot, and that's what he do. He's a big shot maker, and so I just think that as a unit, from the coaching staff to the players, in a situation like that, everyone got to be on the same page, and so I think. We do that, we'll be all right. I mean, I think as I said, this was a game we should have won, and I think that we beat ourselves tonight. But obviously they're a really good team too, so we gotta give them credit too.
Kind of expanding beyond that, just kind of going down the stretch. What needs to happen to kind of put teams away? You guys, I know, worked on kind of late game situations. You guys were able to close the game out last night. What needs to happen or change to consistently start putting these games away when they get tight down the stretch?
I think that we're situation like tonight, obviously can't turn it over in the fourth quarter. I know I had one in that fourth quarter, that hurts. Trying to think what else specifically. I mean, as I said, it was a lot of stuff out of our control. I mean, especially in that fourth quarter end of the game, but just we got to be better as a unit. I really, as I said, I don't think obviously we want to be great in these late game situations. We want to make sure everything is on point. We want to make sure there's no mistakes. It's not realistic though. So I think that what we can do is go obviously watch this whole game and see. I mean, what I believe is that we lost the game in the third quarter when we let them back. We had got up 20. We got to maintain that lead. So I mean, I'm gonna keep standing on that. But besides that, I mean, look, I said the free throws. Another one I didn't say was offensive rebounds. I think they had 15, and that's supposed to be. We're supposed to be bullying teams in offensive glass like that. So I think we just got to be better.
I don't want to ask about the officiating or anything like that, but more so how you guys sometimes respond to that. What do you feel like you guys can do to maybe limit technical fouls or limit some of the reactions that you guys sometimes have to
leave the refs
officiating?
alone, myself included. That's all it is. We gotta. Can't say anything. Just gotta leave them alone. They human beings too. They gonna make mistakes. We make mistakes. It happens. I mean, we can't just let our reactions take control of us, especially in key moments where we get distracted by, we're going to try to go talk to a ref, or we're riled up and we're not even worried about the game, and they're hitting 3 after that. So we just leave them alone. I'm more talking to myself, but.
Thank you, Cole.
Yep.
So there were obviously a lot of swings and elements to that one. In your view, what was the reason your team ultimately came up short tonight?
I thought their offensive rebounds really hurt us. I thought we did a pretty good job of getting back in transition, which they're really good at. And I think they're second in offensive rebounds. They did a good job with that tonight. And I think in crucial possessions we couldn't get a stop, and then I think the end of the third is probably what hurt us the most.
Franz, you had an epic back and forth with Jaren Jackson throughout the game. You kept drawing him on switches. He got you a few times with some blocks, but once you drew that foul right before the half, you were able to score effectively against him with the pull-up shots, the crafty finishes at the rim. What was that matchup like throughout the game, and is he as impressive as of any defender you've seen this season?
Yeah, I think he's a really good defender. Has great timing on his as a help defender and on the ball as well. And, just try to be aggressive and make a couple of plays. And I think against good players, you got to play through mistakes too and try to do that.
You were on the floor there for that last possession. What was supposed to happen there? Were you guys trying to get the timeout?
Yeah, I think there was some confusion whether we were going to call a timeout or not. And obviously, really frustrating to end the game like that.
You guys are kind of focusing a little bit more on your kind of late game execution and buttoning that up. Obviously miscommunication on that last play, but what needs to change for you guys to consistently come through in games like this?
I think everybody on the court has to, not just be worried about their own game, but what's going on the floor and what we're trying to do as a team. And we got to communicate. And then I think the coaches got to communicate and help us with that. And, like on that last play, not everybody knew, I think, what we wanted to do. And that's not on one person. That's on everybody on the court, people on the bench. That's why this is a team sport. And it's not easy to do that, especially, when there's 20,000 loud people. But, that's what this is about.
Franz, I apologize if you were asked something similar to this earlier, but that third quarter, you guys came out with a big run, and then Memphis responded with one of their own. Just how do you kind of weather the tides, the runs of both teams, and kind of stay even-keeled in that moment? And what did you think maybe was going astray in that second half of that third quarter?
Yeah, I thought after our run and after the first maybe 6-7 minutes, they turned up their physicality a little bit, and we struggled to get some good looks. And I think Jackson hit like 3 threes in a row. They play really fast, so if you don't get a good look, you're on your heels. The possession down. That's what they did a really good job of in that stretch, I thought. But honestly, I thought we did a pretty good job. Obviously, maybe the last three. Shouldn't happen, but run's going to happen in the game. And we're not going to play perfect. And, we got the lead, I think, up to 8 again in the fourth or something like that. So, I think a lot of positives, too, in this game. But, obviously super frustrating with, the way the season has been going and where we are in the standings.
Just on that point, you guys were able to fight your way back into the game in the second quarter, build that lead in the third quarter with your defense leading the way. Is it starting to feel like you guys are kind of finding that grit and determination that you had earlier in the year and seeing that a little bit more often now?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we're not going to be perfect, but I think for the most part, we played a pretty good game, and we just got to continue to build on that, and it's going to turn for us if we keep doing that. And 1 point game, some luck is involved in these games always too. So I think that part, I think you got to earn that though, that luck in these games. And if we keep our focus and keep worrying about the right stuff, then our luck is going to turn our way too.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks, Franz.